Hello everybody and welcome in this new video where I'm going to focus on the Hitachi ZW370. So first of all, let's talk about the model, the real model. It's a pretty huge loader actually. It's a 34 tons loader, measures 10 meters long. The bucket is 5.4 cubic meters. The maximum speed is 37 kilometers an hour. It's the equivalent of a Cat 980, so it's a pretty big machine. So then, of course, because it's an exact replica in 1/14 scale, this loader is huge. So this 3D printed model was released about 9-10 months ago by Lukas Cajkar. I hope I got your name well, Lukas. It was his first model released on Cults. The price is 80 euro. He's not doing any sales or anything like that. So when you buy it now, you're sure that it's not going to be like 20% off in 2 months. From the get-go, I'm going to say something. The design is absolutely stunning. When you buy the file, you get access to a couple of things. First of all, you get a manual. It's the best manual I've ever seen myself. Very detailed with all the information about which screws, how much, all the 3D printed files are named and everything. So it makes these things quite easy to build actually. It's about like a Lego technique. And there's another file that is available for free where you can have an idea of what you're gonna need and what you're gonna buy in order to complete this model. Every item is detailed with like a link to AliExpress. You get a picture, you get exact like specification, everything. So it's very, very well done. And what's good is like at the end of the list, you have an approximate price. So it's about like $600 actually. I mean, that was the price when he did release the file maybe a couple of months ago. But still, you get a rough idea of how much it's going to cost you to build this model. You also have like a special sheet with all the printing specification. And I think that's pretty smart actually. You will understand that you don't need the same strength for like the cabin that you need for the arm. You know, so for like every STL file you will have to print, he has a special specification for your printer. So what I did, I created some profile for my printer, printed everything as it was written down in this guide. All the files are already set up for you in the good direction. So I had absolutely no issue printing this loader. So I really think that the printing guide is really useful. And on top of that, he created a Facebook community where you can discuss with other people who build this model or his dumper. You get some advices, you get some examples, some quick tips and everything. So you get all the tools, all the things necessary to build this loader. So I'm using PETG for all my models because even though I live in France, sometimes the weather can be hot and like my models, they stay on the garden for like quite some time. Under the sun, everything. So that's why I'm using PETG because it's less prone to warping. I was also using all the recommended motors, specification, actuators and everything, except that I went with a faster motor for the direction, and I'm glad I did it because so far, first of all, I had no issues with the strength of the motor, and it's steering quite a lot faster, which is, I think it's better for me, and at least for my use case. It's a 4x4 model. There is one motor for each wheel. You will say you lose a differential in this case, but that's okay to me. I think what's more important for us is traction and mobility. So this thing can go anywhere because of this 4x4. Let me show you something. He's using the exact same, turn radius as the real one. So this thing has a 80 centimeter turn radius. Very, very important for this kind of model. But if you look at the bucket and arm cinematic, it's absolutely perfect. I've been watching videos of the real model and was trying to replicate what I was saying with this one. If you look at the bucket in the down position, the angle is pretty good, so you can have a full load over here. And of course, the arm and the bucket cylinders are very strong. First of all, because of this huge bucket, when it's like filled with dirt or with sand or anything, you can go up to like 5-6 kilograms. But this thing can raise it like with no problem. Same for the bucket. The bucket cylinders, they are very strong, very, very strong, And like I said, I'm using the recommended version. I think it's 96 Newton like the force for each one. This thing, like it is right now, weighs 15 kilos. Pretty unbelievable, right? Yeah, like people are saying, what? Like it's plastic, right? How is it possible that it weighs like 15 kilos? That's because the designer, Lukas, he was able to put weights in every different compartments of the loader. First of all, each wheel has some kind of inserts where you put some weights. So each wheel is like about 1 kilo. And then like every little space, you can add some weight. And the balance is really good. For the drive motors, I'm using a special ESC. It's called Obi-Wing 1080. One ESC that you can set up with some kind of a card. I made a video that I will put the link over here. I made a video describing exactly the setup I'm using. I'm using this ESC for all my trucks, for example, the loaders and everything. And you have exact control of the dumper of the loader when it's downhill or uphill, you know, with absolutely no problem. It can be very smooth, very slow. It will keep up. So very important. I really recommend you using these ESCs. For all the other electronic, I'm using Obi-Wing 2, but the cheaper one, the 1060 version, works fine. For the sound and light system, I'm using the Bayer MSM1. It's the entry line level system from Bayer. It's pretty nice. I mean, you can tell. You can use some controls for the lights. And of course, with this light system, when the loader goes backwards, you get the reverse lights plus the warning lights. When you go forward and then it stops, you get the stop light and everything. It's kind of expensive, even though that's the entry line from Bayer, but I would highly recommend you try to use this one. So with this loader, I got some space inside to put some big batteries. So I'm using a 7,200 milliamp LiPo. I can run this thing for like hours. Actually, I never really timed it because I never had to, but at least 2-3 hours like running the thing. I'm using also a LiPo sensor to get the measurement of the LiPo on my radio control. So you get the top part where you get the batteries, the MSM1, the speaker, but you also get a bottom part where you can fit all the ESCs and everything. So you get, that's the first model where I got so much space to put some electronics. So that's not an issue. A quick update because I forgot to mention about the accessories that are available when you purchase the file. So first of all, you get access to 3 different buckets and you also have a fork. As a separate purchase, you can also get a grapple from Lukas. And just recently, another designer called Christian Trop, he released a long-awaited file, at least for me. It's a brush. I just started the build, so I cannot really comment. And there's no videos available yet, except for the one on Christian Trop's 3D page. But it looks very promising. If you ask me if it's difficult to build this model, everybody has his own expertise or his own way of building things and everything. So it's difficult to say if it's easy or difficult. I would say it's in the middle, man. It's like intermediate. If we think about like the D60 from Lasser as being easy, for example, this one is a little bit more complicated because you got a limit switch, you got some more stuff to solders. Also, you have like a special spring that helps to raise the arm, and this is some special things that, you know, it's kind of tricky to set up, even though Lukas made a video about it. It's not that deep, it's not that difficult. It takes some time because like there's many different steps involved. Because of the conception and the design of it, it takes some time because there's many different steps. But that's okay. One of the build I enjoy the most actually, because it's very fun to build. So if I had to say something bad or something negative about this loader, man, I don't know. To be honest, it's a gem. It's absolutely stunning. It's reliable. I've been using this thing for more than 80 hours. Not one issue, not one thing to fix. It's actually pretty amazing. The downside would be the overall cost to build this model. And I'm not talking about the file, huh? The 80 file, it's up to you. I think it's kind of fair too. I mean, it's a great model, great design, but it's more like all the electronics, all the screws, I mean, the motors and everything. Like, if you think about it, and some people have been asking me, how much would that cost me to build it? I would say, like, ready to run, you're going in somewhere near the 1,000 euro mark. to be honest. Even with a cheap radio and everything, like let's say between 800 and 1,000 euro. And the feedback I have is like, wow, it's kind of expensive for a 3D printed model. I say, I don't think it's that expensive. I mean, I don't think there is that much of a difference with this model between this one and like a metal version, to be honest. It digs the same. It's actually a lot better than some of the metal models I've seen. So if you're looking at all the other options we got, either 3D printed or the metal versions. Actually, I was surprised when I was searching on internet because there's many different loaders available. That makes me think that it's probably one of the most popular construction models. So first of all, with the 3D printed models, you got the one from Bernie 222 RC. I did build one, like the CAT 950. It's a lot smaller actually. Also, you got this huge Volvo 350 from Baptiste Verzele. I don't know if I got your names right, man. Pretty interesting. It's even bigger. So, man, even this one is already a little bit too big for my taste. Like a bigger version of a loader, I'm not really interested. I think Baptiste said he's going to release a smaller version soon. There's also the CAT 966 from Domingo Martinez. The CAT 966 is actually for me the perfect size, so I'm very interested by the one from Domingo. I haven't seen so many videos where this thing plays in the playground. I think you also have one model from Christian Trop, which is a kind of famous builder because he's the one who built the conveyor and everything. I think he made a small loader, but that's about it for 3D printers. Now, if we think about all the metal versions, there's plenty of them. I mean, first of all, there is the Komatsu 470 that we see everywhere in any videos. I've seen it and I've been playing with one of these. I think it's good. I don't think it's looked that great. Very basic shape and everything. Usually, you know, cheap controllers, cheap radio control and cheap ESC. So it's really like on and off, especially like the drive control is like very bad. You also have the one from Cabolites, like some kind of, they released some kind of new one. I think they have like one in 1/14 scale and one in 1/16 scale. So Cabolite, it's about the entry level for hydraulics. I never tried any of them, so I cannot really comment or compare. So all the 3D printed loaders are using like electric motors. So recently, Double EOB, they just released like an electric version of a Volvo, but I think it's in a 1/16 scale. So I'd rather go 1/14 my scale because all my fleet is 1/14. But at least I think Double E, they have this loader released, and I think it's one of maybe the most affordable one. And of course, it's this same loader, the Hitachi ZW370 from JDM, using hydraulic system, released quite a while ago. I think they are on their like V2 or V3 version. Works pretty well. Really good looking, great looking model. The JDM version is really nice looking. It's a little bit different. You know, I have a friend, thanks Stefan. I have a friend, I was using both loaders at the same, I mean not at the same time, but on the same playground, and I was doing some comparison. The look of it, I mean the hydraulic version is looking better. Also, it's kind of a little bit different because the hydraulic version is like a shorter wheelbase, and you know, more down to the ground. This one is a little bit more higher, but in terms of performances, but that was really interesting to be able to compare the two together, like on the same playground, doing the same thing, and they behave the same. I think mine was better set up, you know, with the momentum, with the inertia, with the way it was like really moving at the actual speed of the real one. So man, yeah, that was interesting. And now we have all the Germans manufactured models. So that's pretty much like the top of the line. First of all, we have the very famous Volvo 260 from THS. Unfortunately shut down like a couple of years ago. This Volvo 260 is like, you know, it's like mythical in the community because it was very strong, beautiful. It was very true to scale. You also got the Liber 576 from Premacon, which is great. I've seen it running one day, was like, I was blown away, you know, just looking at this thing is like, you get some stars in your eyes and everything. It's a really good loader, and it's also very efficient on the playground. And also you got some Komatsus from Fumotec, great models too. I mean, like I said, top of the line, German engineering, wonderful models. I've never seen like a Fumotec walking in front of me, but I know they are really good models. And then we got this absolutely fantastic model, one of my favorite all-time earthly construction models. is the ONK something, I can't remember right now, but made by Tobias Brecker, German designer, manufacturer. But I do think it's one of the best model overall, any construction model you can find. The engineering seems pretty good. All the videos I've seen about this loader are absolutely stunning. So I'm going to try to show you what I did with my radio control in order to simulate the momentum or inertia, and also the fact that I'm using like 3 gears, 3 different speed. So this is first gear, top speed, second gear, top speed, and I'm going to explain later on the screen what I did exactly. And then the third gear, the fastest one, top speed. Now I'm going to explain to you how I did that. It's actually pretty easy. So first of all, I'm using a Ethos system on my radio. So and the way I did that is actually pretty easy. I created some curves, like the first one, the slow one. So you can see that the maximum forward speed is like 60%, and the maximum reverse speed is 75%. With the gear number 2, I'm using the values is like 80% forward speed and 85% backward speed. And then for the fastest one, I'm using like 100% and 100%. So for the second gear, what I was trying to replicate is the 37 kilometers an hour. And I was doing some, some mathematics and trying to time everything. So the second gear, this is about the real life speed of this model, 37 kilometers an hour. Of course, if you scale it down to 1/14 scale. Also, what I did is I tried to replicate the inertia or momentum. So first of all, I did that with the ESC, with the driving motors ESC, and also I'm using special settings on my radio. It's called slow up and slow down. Let me show you. So for example, if you look over here, for the first gear, I'm using like a 0.9 seconds of slow up and slow down. So that's the value I'm using, like 0.909 seconds for the first gear. For the second gear, I'm using like 1 second. And for the third gear, the fastest one, I'm using like 1.2 seconds. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but when I release the stick, I still get some momentum. You better see it with the high speed. So you get the idea. This is the way I've set up my radio in order to try to replicate the real-life movement of this loader. So this is my review of this model. I do think it's like excellent overhaul. I highly recommend you try to build one for yourself. It's not that difficult. It's very, very efficient on the playground. And I can tell you we'll have a lot of fun playing with this toy. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section of the video. Please consider giving us a thumbs up or even subscribing to the channel if you like this kind of content. Makes me happy, you know that, right? And I hope to be able to do some more review videos of my RC 3D printed construction models.